Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. Oh, look at that glow from the sun. Hmm. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too, because you're watching content like this. Don't mind me today. I wanted to do a video, but it is rare that I get all my hair up in like one at one time, and it's so comfortable and perfect, and I'm just not willing to take it down and do a video. Because man, if I felt comfortable being bald, I would definitely go without hair, but I like hair. Hair is nice. Anyway, mm, what I'm talking about today is relationships and personal evolutions, right? Now, if you hear a little dog yelping and cackling in the background, that's the dog for the neighbors. But I found a trick for that. Like you can use a dog whistle, and I don't know if this is ethical or not. So if it's not, then don't do it. You can use a dog whistle and shut them up. They'll stop and listen. It just resets them. I don't think it does any damage though. I got the dog whistle off of YouTube, and I go open my back door and I stand out and I do like this, and the dog stops like within 5 to 10 seconds every single time. And this morning he was yelping at about 5:30 in the morning till about 6. I thought he would stop on his own, but he didn't. I was like, how do you not hear your dog out there barking? It's crazy. Anyway, I'm talking about relationships, and I'm talking about how when we are in relationships sometime, it is very easy for us to use our personal growth as a weapon towards the people who are around us, right? I think this is a very early stage of, spiritual development and that sort of thing. It's like, I understand this. I understand my purpose. I'm learning about who I am, and I am, growing in a way that I'm evolving and all these wonderful things. And this person that's next to me, who has been a mirror for who I am, is now showing me exactly who I am in our interactions and our reflections of each other. And sometimes we blame it on the person and not really focus the attention on the things that are inside of us that we need to address and that we need to change, right? I know that was a lot. I say all that to say that it is so easy to be in relationship with other people, and because we are growing in a certain way, to believe that our growth is somehow being hindered by these other people. Now, I'm not saying that sometimes that is not the case, because sometimes it is the case. Sometimes we are not strong enough in our belief systems and our mindsets, and we get around other environments and people, and we've not solidified those areas in ourselves yet. So we tend to take on the characteristics of the environment rather than our light casting a huge glow on the environment and shifting the way people operate, right? Sometimes when an environment is too toxic or a person is too toxic, your impact will not be known. But what you will immediately see is the stark contrast, like a juxtaposition between the environment and yourself. And then you can then make a decision about your participation in that environment, right? Because it's not always the case that that light comes in and all the dark places are now illuminated. That's not always the case. And it's not always the case that we walk in and we are full of light, and we're walking into this situation where these other people are off base. That's not always the case. So when we're in relationship, it's good to keep in mind that sometimes you're growing at the same exact pace as other people, right? So y'all are on the same page at the same time. You have this particular growth, you have that one. Um, Me and my partner, we just had like a similar type growth, at almost at the same time. And I think it's such a blessing, because normally that doesn't always happen. A lot of times one person has the growth and then the other person doesn't. And then there's conflict that shows up, because when a new person finds this growth in this area, they don't want to dip back down to have be understood by anybody who doesn't get it, right? And so there's a lot of patience there that has to be um, acknowledged and tapped into, as far as not throwing yourself so far ahead of other people that it's impossible for them to catch up with you, if that's the best way for me to say it. Like, yes, this I think is perfectly great. Remove yourself from environments, but sometimes when we're in those environments, when we're around the people, we it's easy to blame things on other people and not being able to keep up with our growth. And I think most of the time this is probably true, but just be mindful of it. And depending on the type of connection or how deep the connection is with the person or the environment, you can either, give attention to it, or you can either, just act like it doesn't exist. Either one. It's an option. Mm. I think when it's in your personal life, like if it's people that you see every day, you have to give attention to um, those areas where y'all are off, because it's going to keep on causing conflict. Because when you're at home or when you're around people that you love and know and you're close to, it's like a default. You should be able to just be yourself, right? So if being yourself is causing some level of conflict, then that's something that's going to have to be addressed. But like to me, if you're out and about and you're in workspaces or around other people and you realize that there's like an energetic mismatch or um, a lack of understanding to some degree that you don't necessarily have to address, that is when I choose to go within and raise my frequency and raise myself to a level so that the outside can just start matching that. And even if the people in the environment don't raise to the level, then I'm raised or I'm exalted to a new level or a new space. And because we can't see the future, sometimes we forget that this is a possibility every single time. And we get caught up in the now and what's happening now and dealing with everything in a reactionary moment. And even looking at our growth as something that's being hindered by people around us. But sometimes it's just a matter of knowing the patterns of growth and just watching, observing, and being there for them and knowing that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And then, depending on the type of people in the environment, it'll either go this way or it'll go that way. When you're much more rational about the way that you approach people and logical, you can see human patterns and behaviors, and you don't have to get yourself all worked up about people doing things every time because you're just like, wait, this feels familiar. This happened before. I have this thing that happens with me in workplaces all the time or with people. Um, mm, I do a lot of stuff, and a lot of people do one or two things, but that's just always the way that I've been. I've always been a writer. I've always been a graphic designer to some degree, some level. I've always been a video editor. I've always been a computer, a hardware expert, a software strong knowledge base in different softwares, the basics of a computer, like all these things. And so when you have that type of mind thing in an environment, what I used to do was shrink. I would go in the environments and act like I didn't know things because I saw when that I knew things, people didn't like it. I thought that it would be exciting because, oh, you figured it out. You know, we hired you. We are so happy that you are exactly what we thought you would be. And you're just like, yes, I'm proving my worth and then my value. I used to think that. And then I quickly saw that if you came in an environment and you had a high level of understanding for something and the other people's understanding was not as clear, and it's mostly because you'd been working in a field for long time and you took special interest in it or whatever, and that they weren't happy when you were solving problems. They weren't excited. And you're just like, well, I thought that this would be. A lot of people deal with this with family sometimes too. Like people encourage you to do certain things. Oh, you should do this. You should do that. You should travel the world. You should write a book. You should, like people will do these sort of things. And then when you start doing the thing, the energetic environment gets very awkward because they don't really know how to relate to you in that sense. And I've seen this in the workplace a lot. When you do a lot of things, you get in the environment and they're so happy to have you. Yeah, 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 yeah. You can do this, that, and that. And then when they see that you're actually as great as they wanted you to be when they were hiring you, which is really weird, it's bizarre to me. When you're actually that great, instead of embracing the quality and the talent of it, they quickly try to control it and harness it and smother it. I think that's so strange. And it's a pattern that I've witnessed over and over again. But the coolest thing about me and patterns now with people and their behavior, I can pull my emotions and my complete emotions out of it and think, okay, if this is an environment that I should be in, what they'll do is bring me in and tell me how my talents and how my abilities are really beneficial and can fit and expand in this environment. If this environment is not ready for this thing that they're asking for, that they said that they wanted, this is the point where they ignore me and try to smother me, or either do something to try to edge me out of the door because I make people uncomfortable. And so in the previous position I had, what he did eventually was the first one. He was like, "Hey, you're really talented, more than I thought. I didn't know you were this talented in that. You can do this. Go ahead and write the blog. Go ahead and make videos. Go ahead and do voiceovers. Go ahead and do workshops. You can do all of that." And he let me do it. And I did a great job at it. And to this day, he's still a mentor and he's still a friend. And when I go to the town where they live at, I go visit his office because he, to me, made the right choice that people make when they come up in an environment where someone is very talented, and not allow themselves to be intimidated or try to control it and smother it, or to some degree. I think that's a wonderful thing. And it's also made me a lot more open and encouraging of other people. When I see people do great work or something that I think is really cool, I go out of my way. I'm like, that is so nice. You should put the link in there, show everybody this is cool. That's wonderful. But some of the times when we do these sort of things, is not always received. And I think it's easy to get caught up in environments and connecting with people and start to overdo what you need to do in relationship to others. Sometimes I think, especially when it's personal, that's when you chime in and you say, okay, I have too much benefit and connection with this person in my life. So even if they're not growing with me in this exact place right now, I have patience for it. And I think it's wonderful to have patience for it. And I'm going to be content, and I'm not going to be negative towards them, but I'm going to know that they still have room to grow there. But I think when you're in like workplaces or environments where you have very loose contact with people, and it's not like you don't have to deal with them on a regular basis and every day, you can pretty much decide, is this an environment that's worth me, you know, dealing with people's insecurities on a regular basis? Or is this an environment where, you know what, I'll just pull back my essence and do what needs to be done on a regular basis, and realize this is not one of those places where your abilities or talents are going to be pushed to that next level. And I feel like by taking the road where you're not always out there trying to blame other people in relationship to you, or um, push other people to grow or do something different or down talk them, I think it really puts you in a position to be exalted, to be to give a clear signal to the universe that you're not entertaining certain behaviors and certain mindsets and certain attitudes, right? And I think that's a really good place to be. Be able to go in environments and say, I'm not going to mentally fight with people today. I'm not going to say negative things about people today. I'm not going to fight in traffic. I'm not going to rail against everything that people that they're trying to create or do that I don't agree with, or whatever like that. I'm going to state my opinion about something very clearly, and I'm just going to be exactly what I need to be in order to do this thing well. And you get in that mindset like that, I think that if the environment is just toxic and crap, you're going to be exalted out of it real soon, sooner than what you think, sooner than you could have done it on your own had you not tapped into that higher aspect of yourself, right? Anyway, I know this was kind of a chat talk, but I hope it works, because I think it's very important to see um, that we don't always have to stoop down to other people's levels, and we don't always have to force ourselves to be or look better than them in some kind of way, right? And I think that level of humility just shows the universe and shows our creator, shows God, that we are ready for um, a bigger responsibility, that we're ready for greater things, that we are in a position to where we see people that are maybe not at the level we are, that may have a lot of weaknesses and stuff, but our goal is not to exploit the weaknesses. Our goal is to say, well, let me see what this person is valuable at, and let me connect with them in that area, that place, right? Let me not try to push my little one area that I found growth in, or something like that, that's beyond them in some kind of way. And just raise myself to a standard that I want the environment to be in. And that's the thing. If the environment is not there, you'll be moved from that environment in a matter of days. That is how that works. the environment is too low frequency than what you're trying to bring to the table, you will be exalted in a matter of days. And sometimes being exalted looks like losing in the beginning. And we have to know that just because it looks like we're losing, that winning is on the other side. I have that habit now. Whenever something ridiculous happens to me, or something weird or crazy or insane, like a crazy negative report or something that's that doesn't represent you in any kind of way, because something like that, I'm like, that's not who I am or what I do or what out of all the things that could have been. And I'm like, and that's when I know, I'm like, okay, something amazing is about to happen. A breakthrough is happening. A next level, a rendering, a level setting is occurring, and I'm excited about it. And that's the attitude I think is very good to have. Anyway, I hope this helps in some kind of way. Your life, your journey, your spiritual awakening, your path, that you can use this information to somehow um, bypass a lot of the negative aspects of spiritual growth and go right into the beautiful, expansive parts of it that we all get excited about, right? We can't get around all the ugly parts of it, but we can definitely know how to navigate the ugly parts a lot better. Anyway, me and my cone head, right? I'm going to say you have locks all the way past your bra strap and see how you feel, right? Oh, that's who's eating the stuff. There's a squirrel in the garden. Okay, we thought it was an armadillo. That's who's nibbling and chomping on the leaves. I'm glad I saw it with my own eyes. I thought it was a cat or the armadillo. It's the squirrels. Somehow I think we think they only eat nuts, but that's not true. They nibble on things. Hmm. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday.